A couple people that I've kind of talked to before, I'm like, well, first start off writing out all your expenses, write them all out, do it every single month, write out everything and do it like that. And I feel like that's been better for most people getting a hold of their finances rather than hopping straight into like an app. Hello, everybody. Welcome to YBI. We're back at it again, where we talk about opinions, ways, and strategy to grow yourself in finances. This is Roman and Zion here. How you doing?
What's good? What's good? What's good?
Let's
How
get
you feeling,
it.
my boy?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, as you see, I'm in my new place. I got the rock climbing wall. I got my the full gym right there. Yeah, not really. We're still out here on the hunt for a crib. Just saw one today, so we'll see. But in an undisclosed location, per usual. I be out here in these streets, popping up random places. But we're back again. Back
Back at it again.
again. How you feeling, man? It's been a minute.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. Doing what to do, making these things happen, working a lot.
Always. We stay working. So we're back again today to talk to you guys about something that is simple, kind of basic, but super important. So we're going to walk you through a process of how to create a budget. How to create a budget. Um, this is something that is essential in terms of your ability to, one, see where you're at, and then from there grow your wealth in general. If you don't know where you're starting from, um, you guys should, one, like, share, and subscribe, but two, check out our YBI shop because you can get journals. You can get journals, and that's a great place to journal all the things that we're going to talk to you guys about today. You need to keep a cohesive journal and dialogue of every expense and all the things that you have in terms of your finances to kind of see where you're going to go next. So we're going to talk about all of that today, and we're going to make it very, very plain on how to create a budget correctly, how to make it super clean and efficient, how to do it digitally if you would like. When we went over our essentials like several episodes ago, both of us had our financial journals as part of the essentials. So we're going to walk you guys through how to create that financial journal, what it's going to look like, and hopefully create one very quickly.
Yeah, it should be pretty easy. It really should be just telling you guys kind of the steps of just how to do it. Writing it down will probably be easier for a lot of people instead of trying to make a spreadsheet. Spreadsheets are really handy tools to use because once you can set it, you can have it go to where at a point you just enter in a couple of numbers and it'll basically do all the math and all that for you automatically. We've also gone over on here like apps like Personal Capital or even just like your own banking apps that'll do a lot of these things for you. Because a lot of stuff is, you're looking at your bank statement anyway and writing those things down to see, where that money's going and getting a control over it.
Yeah, so pretty much we've broken it down to six pretty simple steps. Step one would be to gather all of your financial statements. So what does that mean? Gather your financial statements is all of your banking documents. You go through print your last statement for like the last 6 months. So you can kind of see how much money, well, that's step two, calculate your income. So you've gotten all of your statements together and now you need to calculate your income. So you need to go through line by line and see how much money you got in and what is consistent. So if you
Yeah.
got paid, $20 from somebody via Cash App or something, you're not going to include that in your regular monthly income. But in terms of all of the things that you're getting on a bi-weekly or on a weekly basis when you get paid from your job, those are the things that you want to include in your income.
And
And
that's
then step
And then, yeah,
go
that should pop up as just a deposit statement, or it should already be kind of sectioned off on your bank statement there. They usually have like debit or credit transactions and income transactions already separated on there. So you can go straight to that portion and just see it'll say like direct deposit or your paycheck, whatever you usually get from people. If you're freelance, of course, would be whatever invoices you have sent out for that month.
Yeah, in addition, if you're not a person that wants to print out everything and you want to do everything digitally, um, PNC, I know they have it where it keeps track of how much money that you got in, but it does it all digitally. So you can just copy and paste those numbers and put them over into a spreadsheet, make it very simple, make the world cleaner by not printing out everything.
Yeah.
But step three is going to be to create a list of your monthly expenses. So everything that pretty much all of the debits or all of the things that are coming out of your account, That's what you want to count as a monthly expense. How much you're spending on categories. So the same way that you do it if you're using, like when you're doing your taxes, if you're itemizing things on your taxes where you're like, I spent this much on food and this much on entertainment and this much on car and this much on gas and this much on all these other bills, calculate all of those expenses. And then from there, you're going to go into step number 4, which is to determine your fixed and variable expenses. So when you're going through your expenses, some things are fixed. So you have a fixed payment of like, let's say, how much is Netflix? $9.99. Netflix is a fixed expense for you in theory. You have a $9.99 expense every month that's coming out. That's a fixed rate that's coming out. But then you have variable expenses like ComEd might fluctuate depending on how much you use here and there. The gas might fluctuate here and there. But your car insurance, your car payment, all of those are going to be fixed versus variable. So you're going to categorize those and you're going to segment those a little bit differently. For me, what I do is I overestimate how much my variable expenses are going to be. So by the end of the month, if I overestimate everything, by the end of the month, I'm going to have more money than I'm actually thinking. Because if it's been like a very consistent $65, I'll round it up to 70 and just be like, okay, cool. So that's $15, or that's 15. That's $5 per payment that I'm actually overestimating, and I can do something extra with that money, be it, put it into stocks or whatever, buy something else, whatever. It's just extra money. So I overestimate those things. Question so far? We good?
No, yeah.
Okay, lit.
Rocking it through.
Moving on to step number 5. Step number 5 is to total your monthly and income expenses. So you need to have a estimate and a pretty
you can do
rough
it average. Yeah, you can even do it
Yeah.
average. If like Zion said, if you're looking at 3 to 6 months, you take that 6 months. If you add all that up and divide it by 6, you have your average income for 6 months. So you can, have that like that, and you kind of know averagely what you're gonna be making. Same with your expenses wise. You could do the same with either or.
So that's going to look like, hey, I pay out $1,500 a month and I make $2,000 a month. So that means that there's $500 that is left for you to build your emergency fund, to build your savings account, to build your investment accounts, to splurge on other things if that wasn't considered as one of your variable expenses. For me, I like to keep I like to give myself a cap for how much I'm going to spend on food and entertainment and all that stuff. That's a variable expense for me, but it's still one that should go into my charting just to make sure that I'm going to be able to do that every month. And then step 6 is to make adjustments to your expenses. So when you're looking at how much you're making and how much you're spending, and if you're spending more than you're making, you need to start making adjustments. You need to start cutting things, be it Netflix, that's really simple to cut, Apple Music, all of those things that aren't necessities for like your everyday life.
Yeah.
You can use YouTube for free. All of those streaming services that you can cut, those are things that you can easily cut without penalty. And you can start making adjustments from there to start saving more money, or to make sure that you are saving or you have more money than you do bills at the end of the day.
And that's really what this comes down to, is really just figuring out where you're at. A lot of people are wondering, why by the end of the month am I barely here, I'm there? And it's really just taking a pen and paper down to it and breaking all your costs down to be like, okay, I'm spending too much here doing this, I'm spending too much here doing that. Where can I cut out costs to kind of get things lower? And I'm also I'm in the budget as well when to say having your savings listed as an expense or bill. Having, 5 to even 15% of your income set as part of your bills will automatically have you saving. That way you're automatically paying yourself in that. That way, no matter what, if you do have $300 left at the end of the month, that's money you've already at least paid yourself, and that really is extra money from that point to maybe even do save more or do things with. But saving should definitely be a part of that, of your expenses, you can call it.
Yeah, if you're not already doing so I have the portion that's coming out of my check that's automatically deposited into a separate account. So technically I don't see that money. So if you want to do both, that's what's up. You're going to save double. But for me, I just take 10%. It automatically goes into a savings account that I don't even see. And then that way I don't have to necessarily worry about paying myself. I just see the money and I'm like, okay, cool. I have that amount of money to deal with for all the rest of the bills and everything for my month. But those are the 6 steps that we kind of felt were going to be the easiest to kind of walk through.
Mhm.
So now we're going to kind of look at a spreadsheet of what that looks like. You have that?
Yeah, yeah, yes. And this is one I decided to just pull up and use just because it's on Google Sheets and it's free. It's one that anyone can pull up and use, and it's kind of easy to start out. And it kind of even explain how to use it at the top there. But basically, you can put your starting balance here. I'll just put 500 bucks for an example of how much you have at the beginning of the month. And then from there, you can go through and you can just type in how much you usually spend on each things per month, depending on how much your rent is, pet transactions, debt, anything like that. And how much you're going to be end up saving over here. And it will calculate, how much you're going to have basically by the end of the month. So you could go through and say, you spend about 400 bucks on food. Let's say if you spend 100 bucks on transportation each month, utilities, let's say the average person about maybe about 100, debt payments will say there. Let's say you try to save about 200 bucks per month and it'll put everything out there for you. That way you kind of know at the end of the month where you're end up going to be sitting at towards everything else. So I really like how they can do this automatically right here for you, and it's very easy to lay out. And then you could actually go through here and do a more detailed for your transactions and just copy and paste this and have it set for January, February, March, or anything like that. They do also have like an annual budget sheet as well for this, but I figured the monthly one was a good one to kind of show. But it's really easy to very clearly go through and kind of enter these things in here. And of course, they have custom categories so where you could add like subscriptions for like Netflix right there or Spotify, whatever, and kind of add those in there too. So you could go through here and very easily add out what you're spending and what's going on here, and then be good to go. And it's a really easy tool.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this one too. I actually had never seen this one, but I like the fact that they have. Can you scroll back up just a little bit?
Yep.
It says planned. Nope, nope, down just.
Oh,
Yep, right
right
there.
here.
Expenses versus the income. It has planned versus actual.
Yep.
So in terms of pre-planning, you should be doing your budget in advance. It's not something that you should be doing after the fact. You need to plan how much money you plan on spending and then what your actuals are, because that's where when I was talking about earlier how I overestimate everything, that's how I end up with a positive money at the end of the day. So I plan a little bit more than I actually spend. So then I end up with a little bit extra money at the end of the month. And then that can carry over into other things, into paying myself more for savings, or I can invest more, or I can do this, or I can spend more, buying something that I didn't necessarily need, all of those things. But I'm a huge fan of plan versus actual because you do need to be looking at all of these things at least a month in advance, but it could be, a couple months in advance. You need to look at, what your projections are for every month and look at last year versus this year. And I know all of this is like, that's overwhelming. So start with 1 month,
Yep.
start with,
And it can be.
start,
So even in here, you enter in your dates for what you do, and it's like the category it is in there, and then it'll automatically put that into there. So let's say this is this is from all the way back from 2000. Let's say your amount was $200, and I don't know, let's say you went to Costco, and then once it goes in there, it'll automatically show that there for what you did. So it's really easy to use and very kind of quick to use in that sense. Should we show the? I don't. Do we ever show personal capital? I don't know if we ever did.
hang on 1 second. Can you go back to the other spreadsheet
The
that you just,
transactions.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, this is also really good if you are a freelancer or if you're 1099. Keep track of all of your
Yeah.
expenses here. So by the time tax time comes, you can literally just plug and play. Roman and I had a great time last year pulling up all of the expenses, going through all of the transactions that we made for YBI and all that other stuff, and then merging that with our personal tax documents. So having all of this already in here is an excellent way, and especially since you can categorize everything, whoever's doing your taxes will thank you greatly because there's going to be so much less work at the end of each fiscal year.
Mhm.
So huge benefit there.
And I
But
definitely do recommend doing an actual physical one yourself, either like this or like Zion said in the financial journal, before even using some of the apps like Mint or Person, just because those kind of automatically do it for you, and you don't have to really kind of physically do anything besides add your accounts to it. This at least puts it very tangible in your face, like, oh my gosh, I'm spending this much money doing this. Like I have to type this in here and know how much you're spending.
Yeah, it's similar to just being able to use cash versus swiping a card. If you have to spend physical cash, you feel a little bit worse than just swiping a card. So this makes it real for you. It makes dollars and cents like, dang, I spent this much. Yeah, you did. But you're gonna have to be aware of how much money you're spending, how much money you're saving, all of those things. And this is a great way for you to be able to see that from start to finish.
Yep. Nice.
What were we saying about personal capital?
Oh, I was just saying if we ever, we may have talked about it or just I think we did review like Mint and Personal Capital and those other apps, but just I think it is better to actually write these things down. Like I did kind of have a couple people that I've kind of talked to before. I'm like, well, first start off writing down all your expenses, write them all out, do it every single month, write out everything and do it like that. And I feel like that's been better for most people getting a hold of their finances rather than hopping straight into like an app just because an app makes it too much like a game. It doesn't really make it feel like it's kind of real almost. I think it's better to actually, be like, I spent $500 on Victoria's Secret this month. I better reel that in.
Alex is a happy girl, I'm sure. Um, yeah, yeah. You need real documents. You need to make things real for yourself. If you're just the person that's like, hey, I'm not into writing things down, absolutely go for, this, or go for making one yourself in Excel or something like that. I track a lot of stuff in Excel just because it's easier for me, but the one that Roman just pulled up is obviously a lot
Google Docs,
simpler.
it's free. I'm pretty sure Excel has a because you have to pay to use Excel. I think they might have a free option to use Office Online, but you could there probably is a template for a monthly budget on Excel. Actually, I'm looking right now. Yeah, there is. So if you're of course you're a Microsoft user, go ahead and you can use a template there, or just make one completely yourself. But there is an Excel version in Microsoft Office as well.
Yeah, they're customizable, plug and play. Very
Yep.
simple, but essential in making sure that you are in control of your finances from here on out. Yeah, six
Make a
easy
budget.
steps.
Make a
Six easy
budget,
steps to
guys.
make a budget. It's not that hard. Um,
And
it
it's a
for
good
me.
first step. Yeah, and it's a good first step to putting you right on track there. Pro tip, definitely put savings on that expense list, or income. Put it at whatever there, but make sure you or at least are automatically doing it. That way you be like, okay, I am automatically doing this and having my savings kind of grow there. Sorry, Wesley was running behind me. I know what he was doing.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, guys.
Um, well, I think that's gonna effectively wrap it up for us today. Make a budget, do it because we said so. Other than that, y'all know what it is. We may be young and we may even be broke, but we are always investing. Till next time, guys. Peace.
Peace. Hey everybody, thank you for listening to Young Broken Investing. We just want to let you know that these are the opinions of the hosts, are not meant to be the basis of any security purchases or investments. We're trying to give a little information out there for everybody and have fun and be safe.